Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast series of success stories. When it comes to marketing, creativity, and storytelling, there's one institute in India that truly stands out Mudra Institute of Communications, Ahmedabad. MICA. Yes, you heard it right. So, but getting into MICA is not just about aptitude, it's about thinking differently, expressing creatively, and standing out from the crowd. Today, we have with us someone who has successfully done just that. Joining us is Sotavisha, who has converted Mica and navigated its unique selection process. In this session, we are going to talk about his preparation journey, his experience with MyCat and the interview process, and what it really takes to make it to Mica. So let's just get started. Welcome, Sotavisha. We really excited to have you here. And first of all, congratulations to get converted Mica.
Thank you so much.
So before getting ahead, I just wanted to ask you, what is your background, and can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Sautavesha and I'm from Kolkata. I completed my graduation from Calcutta University and I finished my graduation in 2019. After that, from 2021 to 2025, I did a course. It's a professional course based on graphics design, motion designs, and 3D modeling, texturing, all those stuffs. I had also been working not exactly in any like officially in any place. I was freelancing, and at the same time, I provide private tuition. So all this were going on even with the preps. So that's it.
So when you mentioned about your work, it's actually your freelancing work, right?
Right.
So this goes for how many months or years?
Freelancing, it depends. Like it's not you're not working under somebody. It's like you're your own boss. So obviously you get clients, you attend to them, take their orders and meet the deadlines. That's it.
So when did you started preparing for CAT actually?
I started in the month of August, I would say. I before that I just went through the syllabus and everything, like what exactly is CAT. Before studying for any exam, I think it's important to know the exam. So earlier I just had a thought of giving CAT. So I went through the syllabus and the exam schedules and patterns and everything, went through past few papers of CAT. And then if I have to say that I started preparing like seriously, I would say mid August or late August I started preparation.
So was MBA always the plan, or did something really triggered it, and then you decided like, oh, finally I wanted to go for MBA. This is my real thing. Like this is what I really wanted to do.
So alongside freelancing, I was also interning with various startups, I would say. During this one internship, I was working with a company based in Bangalore. They were basically a marketing based agency, I would say, and I was their graphics designer. So had to attend all the meetings, but I realized that during the meetings, some decisions or some kind of designing campaigns could have been done in a much better way, as per my opinion. So I spoke with the founders, and I realized that my true alignment lies in marketing. So that's when I decided if I have to pursue something, why not from Mica?
That's really nice. So, how was how competitive was CAT prep environment among your peers and for yourself? Because in my CAT, you have to first go for CAT and then my CAT again. So, how did the environment change for you?
I would say that if you let the competitiveness takes over you, then that puts a pressure on your mindset. It builds up in your mind. But if you just think of it like okay, like taking it one day at a time, then it's manageable. I would say. Uh, People just build it up more in their head before appearing for the exam, and then they get stressed. So if you focus on building the fundamentals at first and then slowly level up each day, then it gets very easy. And I don't think it's that obviously the marking schemes and the normalization, everything, exam pattern, those are very competitive, but the preparation should not be competitive. It's you against you, I think.
So, when did you started thinking about going for CAT and MyCAT? Since you mentioned you started preparing in mid of August, right? But between your graduation and between your preparation, there is a gap, right? where you were going through graphic designing and your freelancing work. So how did this all went to, going for cat and my cat and graduation, to, taking that gap and then you go ahead.
I did not have much idea initially, like how I have to step in and get all these things done. So I spoke to one of my friend. She is a MBA grad from XIMB. So she guided me through the process and helped me understand everything, why I should take up this and how I should prepare and what will be the correct way as per my what's right for me, I should say. So it became easier with the guidance. A mentorship always helps. So I had that help, luckily. And yeah, in every step, if you get a mentor, if you have some kind of external help, it helps a lot with the preparation, with the mindset, even during the exam day, I think.
That's really nice. So when you started preparation in mid of August, so what was your like? How did you plan it? Like your whole preparation? Because generally CAT happens in November, right? And then there's a gap, and then my CAT happens. So did was it always the plan that I'll go for CAT and then my CAT, or was it like since I gave in CAT and I had two, three other exams and keeping it as a backup, like SNAP and IFT, or for you, like I wanted to ask, like, was it straightforward cat and my cat, or was it like since I've given cat, now I'll go for my cat, Snap, and
Uh,
IFT as well?
I didn't know about my cat at first. So my first target was cat and Zat, like every other aspirant. Then I got to know about Snap and Mat, my cat slowly over time. So I analyzed these colleges individually that the exams will offer me. And among all these choices, rather except CAT and ZET, I realized that the college appeals to me. So I decided after giving CAT, I decided to sit for MyCat 2 because I had already missed the deadline for MyCat 1 by then.
Okay.
So yeah, I think, and as for preparation, like you said, for me, quants was kind of easy because I knew the fundamentals. The basics were clear for me. So I did not have to, and it was LR that needed brushing up a lot, and quants and VRC, I just had to practice more in order to perfect those topics, I would say.
So when you mention about quant, so how did you plan your strategy? Like, because this is, your weakest point, your strength, right? So how did you plan the strategy for it? Did you go for any mock test series, or how do you prepare? Which test series you have taken?
I had career launcher test series, and the first mock, because I started preparing in August, by then they had already launched their first two or three mocks. So I took the first mock without any kind of preparation. I saw my percentile and I got like really upset that okay, maybe cat might not be my thing, but I still realized that there might be 4 or 5 months to go and I can build up something. The mindset is more like कि इससे बुरा क्या ही होगा, because my first mock score was that bad. So from
So
there,
can
I
you
think it was a
can
ragged hill, I would say.
can you disclose your first
Like
mock
there were
score?
ups and downs. Yeah, I don't remember the raw score. It was in negative. I remember the whole score in negative, and my percentile was 25.
Oh, that's it. But how did it change? Like, what was your last mock score?
Something in 80s, late 80s. The mock score, it fluctuates a lot. Like someday I would be getting 37 percentile. After a week, I give the next mock, I'm getting 92 percentile. So it fluctuates a lot. So it's not like getting 92 percentile gives me the hope to get 99, or 37 will make me think that okay, I cannot score more than 80 in the on the D day. It's not like that. The mock, I would say difficulty varies a lot. Number of
True, true.
attempts, people who are taking the mocks, that also varies. So everything varies so much that you can't let it decide what you're gonna do on the day. And it's very simple for the score to differ from mocks and the D-Day, because you're taking mocks at the comfort of your home. And when you enter the center on the particular day for giving the exam, so the atmosphere, the mindset, everything is a lot different. So that's why I
So
think the score fluctuates a lot. I mean, somebody who can get 99 in mocks might end up scoring in their 40s on that day, and the vice versa.
true, it's very true. So how many mocks in total have you given?
I have given around 7 mocks. I haven't attempted much sectionals. I have attempted sectionals only for VARC because time management is a real issue there. You have to attempt as many questions as you can in VRC. For quants and LRDI, it's more about perfection. But as for VRC, you don't really know which one is the correct option. You can just estimate, make a good assumption. That's all. So for VRC, the time pressure is real. So the only sectionals I gave was for VRC. I gave around 7 or 8 VRC sectionals, and apart from that, I have given full length mocks, 7 full length mocks from Career Launcher. And I used to do time bound practice for quants and LRDI. Like I would take, let's say, 10 questions, give myself 20 minutes, and solve them. So, in that way.
So did you, as you mentioned, like at times your mock score go down, at times you feel like VSC is not doing pretty well, and maybe cat is not my thing. So when you're feeling this sort of, giving up things, so what kept you really going and what motivates you actually?
Like I said, that I realized I heard from a lot of people that mock score really doesn't determine your final day score, and until and unless you have actually participated, it's see preparation for CAT. I think it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. So you have to, no matter how bad your day is, no matter how much you're scoring in the mocks, no matter how much the syllabus is still left, you see the mountains piling up. You have to just show up each day, do something a little bit. And the most important, I think, in the preparation is discipline. You have to train your mind in such a way that no
Hmm.
matter what happens, how much I'm scoring, I have to show up, I have to do this, I have to create a list and just tick them off every day. That's it.
That's really true. Being consistent is actually really great. Like the more consistent you are, the more closer you are to your goal. So coming to your weakest section, when you mentioned about VARC and DILR, so when you planning the strategy, did it really go well at this on your examination day as well, or did it really work for your examination day?
I think it did because CAT 2025 was really difficult and we were not expecting that. Seeing the past trends of CAT 2024, which was very easy, paper set by IIM Calcutta, CAT 2025 was a different ballgame. When I went through the VRC section, I did not understand the difficulty, but as soon as I landed on the DILR page, I realized what is going on. And that very moment, I had to decide that, okay, I have to at least solve one set. I could have either thought of it as in the way that either I have to solve one set and score a good marks, or I have to try two questions from each set which I can solve quickly. So I read through all the questions on that day and I realized that some sets are time consuming. Now, the way I could realize that some sets were time consuming is because I practiced not similar, I would say, but some similar topic kind of questions. So I think more than anything, DILR changed the course, and when that was a very upsetting section, it had a toll on quants as well for every participant, I think.
So, but how did you plan your examination day? Like, when it comes to VRC, did you approach RC first and then go for VA? And similar for quants, is there any specific area where you like? Let's say people generally avoid probability; they are not very confident about it, so they'll first go for arithmetic and geometry. And similar for DILR. So, did you go for LR sets first, or DI you kept it for the last?
For VRC, I did VA questions first. Then I went for the RC. Then again, I came back to VA questions, and again, I went back for the second RC. For DILR, I always choose LR questions first because the DI sets sometimes they can be like heavy calculation based. And if I start that, I will always feel like, okay, this is easy, I have to end it. So I will consume the entire 40 minutes and will get nothing done. So I always prefer starting with the LR first, and then we can come back to DI because if I can crack the set of LR, I can answer all the three or four questions that follows. But it's not like that for DI. For DI, you have to solve individually. So if the time permits me, if I can solve one or two questions of DI, I am set. As for quants, I would say I went for arithmetic first, and even in arithmetic, I had a few strong sections. So I chose those questions first, and then the rest of the arithmetic part. After which, my next strong point was quadratic algebra, logs, those part. So I just went for those, and I completely avoided probability and modern maths, those parts. Geometry questions were really time consuming, so I read and I just left them. So when the timer started of the 40 minutes, I first went through all the questions, selected out those I have to attempt first. Like there was, okay, these are
Yeah.
level one questions, level two questions, level three questions, even from the topics that I was aware of. And that's how I managed the time, I would say.
That's nice. So, how different it is for your market strategy? Because there is a gap, and as far my understanding and my experience is that for market you have to change your strategy fully because cat is a different ball game and my cat is all together a different thing because their sections are completely different. So, how did you plan that?
My cat, the first section is of psychometry test, and for that you really can't prepare anything. You just have to be consistent with the answers. And the thing that I noticed in the psychometry test is that they are presenting with similar kind of questions. Like there are 64 questions or 66 questions. So the same kind of mindset that they're checking in question number one, maybe they are repeating the same kind of questions with a different scenario or circumstances in question number 47, let's say. So if you are faking your answers, you will definitely fail the psychometric test. Either you have to be consistent, or you have to remember the questions and identify, like, okay, this is the same question that I did in number 2 and this is the same question in number 47. So these are the two strategies to crack the psychometry test. Next is the descriptive portion. So the first part, you had to write like three pros of some topics that they had given, three cons of the same topic, and then there is this photo, this images, four images you have to connect and make a story. Now again, you cannot really prepare. There are no past question papers of MyCat available on the internet or anything, so you can't really prepare for anything. You just have to be creative enough to answer those questions on the spot without repeating any points. And I think they mark really heavily on the descriptive portion. The marks don't reflect on the reports, on the result, but they mark heavily the descriptive portion, and it's like make it or break it kind of a situation there. So no matter how well you do in the quants, verbal or LR, if you are really bad in the descriptive portion, if you don't know how to write a story, you're done.
That's really something like where you have to put focus. Even if you have given cat, you have to make a separate strategy for my cat. So coming to my next question, the thought is linking like when you prepared for your psychometric test, right? So did you had any mock for that, or did you actually go for any mock for my cat as well?
No, I did not go for any mocks. I tried looking up for past papers, which I could not find either. So I just read about how psychometry tests are generally attempted. And these are the two options that I just shared with you. These are the two answers I came up with from reading all those articles, I would say. For the descriptive, again, there is no preparation. You have to be creative because that's what they are checking. If you
Yeah.
can come up with something on the spot, if you are creative, if you can think out of the box, make up a story that would sound something like Interstellar coming to your screen, something like that, I would say. And the rest of the thing is pretty normal. If somebody is preparing for cat or that, I would say they can easily crack the rest of the quants and verbal thing.
So coming to the D-Day when you actually got your results, so what was the feeling and what was the score and how did you actually reacted to that score?
uh, the result, when it came, I was kind of sure that with my percentile, I will get a call. I was sure of that for my cat because my descriptive portion is good and I did well. I was kind of nervous about the psychometry test because that's if you fail in the psychometry test,
Yeah,
nothing else matters to them.
true,
So
true.
that's the only point of worry for me. But other than that, by the time I attempted my cat 2, already the results of cat and zat had come. So I knew I was good in all these topics, so I have done pretty well, I thought so. I knew the descriptive went well, so the only point of worry for me was the psychometry part.
So what was your actual score?
My score in my cat was 24.
Okay, that's really
And
nice. So
yeah, so
it's good. Congratulations. So, coming to the most critical part of any admission process, your GEPI process. Generally, MyCat has GEPI instead of GDPI. So, how did you started preparing for GEPI, or how much time it took? Because once you get the result, there is very little time left between your actual GEPI day or your conversion day. So, how did it went?
before my GEPI day of MICA, it was towards end of March. So I had already started with my other colleges PIs from beginning of February. So by the time Micah sent me that mail for PI with the date, I had already prepared a bit for PIs. And for Micah, I read that it's of no use if I study economics or anything, marketing trends, it doesn't matter, because they ask thought provoking questions basically. They want to know you as a person, how you are, if you're actually faking it or you really belong in Micah. So I did not prepare. I just read some current affairs. I read a little bit about marketing because I thought they might ask me marketing questions, and that's it. I just went with a clear mind and fresh head, I would say.
So, so as you mentioned, it's always better to take external help of mentors of your. Did you actually spoke to anyone from MyCat, or did you take any external help?
For my cat, no, I did not, because I read on some platforms that GE is very random for Micah. They can just ask you to do anything from a group, and you cannot just prepare for it once again. For the I had prepared the standard questions that maybe they will ask, like, tell me about yourself or why MBA, why Micah. But they did not ask anything like that from me. They just wanted to know if I really fit in the niche sector of marketing, and why I will be choosing marketing. Why should not I go for consulting or finance or the other uh, popular sectors in MBA? And they did not want me to say why Micah, because they know they are one of the best. They want to know that why they should take me, like what would I contribute there, what's my role there. And there were no direct marketing based questions because I belong from graphic design background. So they inquired a lot about that from me, like how would marketing and graphic design can align together, or what plus point I would have from my background. So it was more like a conversational point, I would say. uh, yeah, it was very conversational, and they were more interested to know me as a person rather than my qualifications or how much I know or how much I don't know. They just wanted to know who I am inside and out, and they just wanted to check if I really fit in there or not.
So, how many panelists were there in your MyCat PI?
There were three panelists, all three were male, and the questions were like they took turns, obviously. They asked me about my background firstly, my graduation background or my schooling background. Surprisingly, they knew my school. I don't know how. They checked, they asked me, like, they asked about my graphic design background, and they asked me if I have a portfolio to show them. So I had a digital portfolio of my design works, so I showed all those to them. They asked me about the softwares that I use and if I know those softwares inside out. They were giving me questions. Then they presented me with a bottle that was plastic bottle, water bottle that was kept in front of them, and they said that what change could you do to this packaging design of Bisleri that would be more attractive. So I told them that the color is green, which is not exactly perfect for a water company. And also, they asked me that what if they want to keep it green? Can you just do you know what drove them to keep the color as green? Some questions like that, and they asked me about my family background and everything. Uh, So yeah, so they asked me if I why am I choosing Mica for marketing, why, and what other calls I have, and if I should take those calls over Mica, what sets Mica apart, or why is it in my priority list. And they were trying to kind of push me back. I did not realize they were grilling me till the interview was over. And they were trying to push me back, like, okay, you don't belong here. And I had to convince them, no, sir, I belong here. See, this. And yeah, I would say it was very conversation like. They did not make me feel like they were stressing me or something. And honestly, from my past trends, I don't realize most of the times during interviews if somebody is stressing me out or grilling me. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. But overall, it was a very conversation like. So first we went for PI, like there were total 12 people, so 6 were sent for PI and 6 were sent for GE.
GE.
Then the groups exchanged, so we waited for a while, and then we 6 people went for GE, and the other 6 went for PI. And in GE we had a topic something related to Instagram, something like real versus real life something. And we were given with a lot of props were kept on the table, so we were asked to use whatever props we want. There was a dupatta kind of thing, there were a lot of crayons, markers, paper, a huge sheet of paper, and there was some frills. So all these props were there, and we were supposed to use as many of the props to depict the idea in some sort of skit. So I was the one who came up with the idea on what we have to exactly show in the skit. And then we designed some kind of thing on the paper that would reflect the same thing. I drew and others wrote the dialogues for the script and what they want to exactly depict. So it was a team effort. I would say it was a group project kind of a thing. And everybody's participation was compulsory, as they mentioned previously. So yeah, it went pretty well, I think. And specifically, my drawing on that piece of huge paper was appreciated separately. So I think that was a bonus point for me rather than the PI that went. It was a pretty chill thing in the GE also. They did not interrupt us for anything, no matter what we spoke. Because I was already making the drawing, I joined in last, and I concluded the skit with the proper monologue, I would say, at the end. And they clapped and they appreciated and they said they really loved it as the kind of creativity they are looking for. And yeah, it went on a positive note by giving us trophies.
That's really nice though. Your PI went pretty well though. And I would say it you handled pretty well. Though it was grilling, but you didn't felt it. That's just really nice. So can you walk us through all your calls that you had, like all the colleges and all the GDP rounds that you have gone through?
I had applied and I got calls from 8 IIMs: Udaipur, Shillong, the CAP IIMs, Nagpur, Vishakhapatnam, Sambalpur, Mumbai, and I have calls from XLRI. I have call from IIFT and MICA and DSE.
So why Micah specifically? Like why not any other college?
Yeah, my first preference was MICA from the very beginning. Because the calls from IIMs that I have, they are like baby or new IIMs. And compared, if I have to compare uh, my what should I say, if I have to compare my tendency in leaning towards marketing sector, I would rather go with Mica than join any baby or new IMs. Now obviously if I had call from FMS, that would be a different thing. But since I don't have, I think Mica is the first preference if I have to go for marketing.
So you already decided that you wanted to go for marketing as a specialization. And how did you arrive at it?
uh See, Mica, other IIMs, they haven't released any calls as of now. They will come in later half of May, I think.
Yeah.
So the first conversion that happened itself is of Mica. So I'm pretty excited about it, I would say.
That's really nice. So now that you're converted, so what are you planning to do? Like, since before stepping into MICA in a B school, so do you have any course in mind? Do you are you preparing for anything special?
I've browsed through a few courses on Coursera and Udemy, all those online apps I have seen. So I need to brush up on my knowledge as per the mentors. Like they said, I have to brush up on Excel, on a little bit of SQL. So I have a fair knowledge of SQL because my background is from computer science in UG. So we had SQL back then.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, because of the huge gap, I have forgotten most of the things, but I think I can pick it up easily. So the first and foremost thing that's in my to-do list is take a vacation. After that, I will get back with the courses from a little bit in marketing. I will do something to have a basic idea of marketing before jumping into Mica, and a little bit of Excel and SQL and let's see Canva. Oh, no, since I obviously work with the designing projects, I know
Yeah,
Canva, but I'll just go through how to make PPTs and stuff. So I'll just see them on YouTube.
that's really nice. So coming to as we come to the end, my last question is, can you give any one word to your journey?
It was an experience. Like if I have to say it in one word, I have to sum it up. I don't know how I can, but I would say it was a journey of a lifetime.
That's really nice.
It was a good
So,
experience.
okay, so one more thing, like, can you give any one piece of advice to all the aspirants who are preparing for next year CAT and they were targeting Micah and MyCat?
I'll just say one line to them. It's up to them, however they want to interpret it. I will just say that a smooth sea never makes a skillful warrior or a sailor. So you
Very,
have to go through the ups and downs of the waves in order to come across as the best of the bests. So that's it.
that's really insightful. Thank you so much, Satosha, for taking out the time to share your journey with us and being very honest with us. Your experience will surely help many aspirants who are aiming for MICA and want to understand its unique selection process better. To everyone who are watching, success is institutes like MICA comes from a blend of preparation, originality, and confidence in your own ideas. And above all, since Satosha mentioned, there are ups and downs, but consistency is the key. So, who are going to watch this video, share it with people. If you found this conversation valuable, don't forget to share, like it, and to share it actually to the people who actually need it, who need that motivation to, to get up and go for that exam. And it's really insightful session. And for more success stories, do like and share. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you, Sadhusha, and congratulations for Micah.
Thank you so much.